Countries named in my history school book. Now, I'm very interested where this person came from. I wonder if we can guess. Now, I'm gonna assume, just based off the fact that so many Eastern European countries are named here, this person is not from the US. I don't think I ever knew the country of Bulgaria existed until I was 24. I was going to say this person's probably British, but they don't talk about all of the former British colonies in Africa. You'd think their history textbook would at least mention Sudan or Kenya at some point. This person probably not French either, since Madagascar wasn't labeled. Y'all didn't talk about one of the most important historical events in history. Clearly this history book is uncultured. I love this source down here, just my history book. Thank you for that. I'm assuming this is somewhat relative history, since you're talking about some very specific places like North Korea, or maybe they labeled the entire Korean peninsula. But yeah, probably not ancient or even medieval history. It's gotta be someplace in the Eastern Hemisphere, because you didn't even mention a single Latin American country. I know there's a lot of jokes about people forgetting this place exists, but this is just depressing. I kind of don't even want to figure the answer out. I kind of want to sit here for hours and figure it out. There it is. I would have never guessed that. I will say. History book is from the Netherlands. I didn't expect this from the Dutch. Figured the Dutch would be teaching about how they discovered Atlantis, but they didn't want to tell anyone about it. Very strange, because the Dutch for a moment there had, I thought, a part of Brazil, and this book didn't even mention that. Yeah, look, how did they leave so much out of the Western Hemisphere? You guys had all this at one point. This explains why I almost got confused with Great Britain here. They did have a lot of territories that Great Britain would ultimately get. Of course, they had a very good relationship with Japan for a second as well in history. Now that I know the origin country, literally the greatest part of this map is that Sweden was never even mentioned. The Dutch can probably see it on a clear enough day, yet nah, they're gonna put it in the textbook. I'm just kidding, you can't probably see it on a clear enough day. I'm just making a joke. This is a map of everyone around the world that tried to hack this guy's Steam account. How exactly did you get your profile to go Mr. Worldwide like this? So he logged 2 hacking attempts from the US, 1 from Canada, 11 from Brazil, as well as a couple other South American countries tried, 3 from South Africa, 15 from India. That's where I thought the largest would be, but no, it is actually Russia. 23 attempts. This is really just hacker land, isn't it? Just considering their population, because India's like, what, 10 times bigger than Russia? You'd think there'd be more from here. Only 3 from China. Technically, Vietnam is in second place trying to hack this guy's account. I'm surprised to see so many from Australia as well. It seems possible that his information was hacked at one point and then was sold multiple times to people around the world. Better be careful, because I'm coming for you next. Oh my goodness, was that Kim Jong-un? Here are all the counties in the United States that happen to be rectangles. And strangely, they aren't really in the rectangle state area. Like out here in the West, we just started making the states rectangles. We're like, maybe let's stop making the counties like that. Well, I guess technically the rectangle states really started from the middle. And they kept expanding this way, and they said, we can't make both the states and the counties like it. Glad that Wyoming retained some of the rectangles though. I think the most rectangle state we have, well, Colorado's up there too. You think we just gave up after making all this stuff so intricate on the East Coast? Once we got to this point, we're like, ugh, put another freaking rectangle down. Then we got disappointed over here and just was like, let's stop doing that. Maybe put one in California. I feel like the Europeans are just looking down at us in disgust. There's not a single rectangle on that continent. My mind was blown when I first learned about this. If you already know, then it's not that mind blown anymore. But yeah, the 10, 20, 30, 40 keeps on going up. I don't exactly know. Maybe the 50 and 60 just were blown up. I feel like the 5 is what's most talked about here in California. Sometimes the 15, that's how you get to Vegas. And then 25, 35, 45, 55. Is this the 65, but it's not labeled? I guess this I-35 is what the Pan-American Highway is built off of. Well, it's the I-35 and the I-25, just depending on what direction you want to go. This is how you can drive from almost the southernmost tip of South America all the way up north. You're gonna have to take a ferry right here though, because it's not connected. Here are the different grading systems used in European countries, from worst to best. What's up with all these numbers? Whatever happened to A, B, C, D? I mean, I guess that's basically what 1 through 5 is, which it appears some of these places are still doing that, except for Russia. Can you not fail a class in this country? Oh, here's an actual F through A system done in Sweden. Estonia is doing a hybrid system, even though this is literally the same thing. What the hell is going on in Italy? Why does it gotta be so complicated? Why would you do 0 through 110? And Ireland, what is even that? In order to understand your grade, you have to be proficient in hieroglyphics, apparently. What is U through A? I'm guessing just ungradable. Like, you could still grade an F, but this shit is so bad, you're not even gonna get a grade for it. Whoa, 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 Iceland. Is this... I don't even know. That's just cruel, Denmark. -3? I never thought there'd be anything worse than getting an F, but you know what? -3 definitely takes the cake. I don't even think this U would hurt as bad as -3. I get a majority of countries, to be honest. Whether you want to do like 1 through 20 or 1 through 5, doesn't matter. There are some weird ones like Romania. I don't know what this means. Facebook. Turkey's fine. You either get no credit or credit. Still confused about the countries that decided not to give 1s. How do you do 2 through 6? Just like 2 through 5. I guess in the US, I didn't consider that we do have a little bit more of a complicated grading system once you add plus and minus to the letters. I guess when you think about it, it is weird that we've just settled for 60%. Like, why not 50? That seems cleaner for the F. I would have passed a lot more classes too. Oh yeah, this is what most places are doing. Oh, LA, this is why. LAUSD using the 1, 2, 3, 4 system. The similarities between Egyptian's population density and the country of Vietnam. I swear I am shocked by some of the things you guys come up with. I mean, I do see it. I do somewhat see it. I'm just really surprised that someone realized this comparison. The way the Nile flows into the Mediterranean, like that's the creepy part. Those are way too similar. Like you couldn't just slap Chile right here. Chile would be somewhat close if you like mirrored it. I think that country does the opposite curve. Vietnam was downscaled to make the image look a little bit more similar. Still pretty amazing either way though. The disappearance of a Dutch island. I wonder if this was talked about in that Dutch history textbook. So in 1850 you have a population of about 1,200 and 1900. Oh wow, so population's actually going up to 3,000 in the 1930s. Probably assuming during World War II they were worried less about it, you know, the no-no Germans and everything. Oh, because they expanded out. Oh, I thought it was just gonna evaporate into the ocean. 1985, 1,200 people live there, then 13. I thought we were looking at basically Atlantis again, and the island is gone. Weird because the population density started off as just an island too, even though the land was connected to it. How incredible is that? I thought this was going to be about climate change. Love the Wikipedia description. Current town and former island of Urk. Where have you ever seen that description before? It exists about in the center of the Netherlands. You can kind of make out some of the land that they were able to regain to destroy the island. It's kind of what they did, right? They destroyed the island by creating land. This is what it looked like somewhere in the 1930s. This is amazing. I guess if you look at a map, they've actually destroyed a lot of islands, probably. The Dutch should just be called the Great Destroyer of Islands. Which sounds so much more scarier than it actually is. How much land would the Attack on Titan walls cover if it was in the real world? Here's comparing it to Australia, India, a part of Eastern Europe, and then the United States. They'd pretty much keep safe most of Tennessee and Kentucky, but the outer walls would expand all the way up to Illinois and all the way south to Alabama. I don't know, this seems feasible. I'm just saying if Titans ever do come, I think we could probably accomplish this. Most popular boy name in each state in 2020. Whole lot of Liams taken over. Now, you might look at this map and think, I don't know any Liams, but then you have to ask yourself, how many 1-year-olds do you actually know? Oliver kind of seems old school. Is that a thing that's coming back? It really sucks when like you knew one person in your life named one of these names, and now you only can associate them with that person. It'll just ruin a whole name for you. What's up with the random states in Noah? California, Illinois, Pennsylvania? I don't see what they have in common there. Mississippi with James. Did you ever see what Amazon did to the name Alexa? Completely just destroying that name. Wonder if they're gonna do the same thing with Liam at some point. The territorial evolution of government types in Europe. Now, unsurprisingly, back in 1714, most places were using monarchy systems. Then things got really interesting after Napoleon popped up. Well, there were some republics, and then in 1815, gone. Even by 1914, there was still a bunch of monarchies, like, you know, World War I and stuff. I did know that, but it's just kind of crazy it took them this long to get rid of it. By 1930, they were mostly republics, it seems. Even more so, that Soviet Union, known for spreading republics. There are technically still monarchies to this day, but they are, what do you call those? Oh, it's a constitutional monarchy. I love how you have these labels, and then there's just randomly Poland, which is true. It's just like, yeah, whatever the hell that whole Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth was, there's that. What were they doing back then? The top 20 ingredients in mastering the art of French cooking, and how often it's mentioned. It's just all butter. It's all butter. I can already feel my arteries clogging up. For some reason, I thought they were more of a oil place, but I guess not. Oh, no, they're not. But I did remember from this map that a lot of the southern Mediterranean countries were olive oil people. You would think the French would be the same way, especially because Luxembourg is like that. But it actually appears to be the opposite. The French love butter. We also know they love onions because they made a whole battle song just talking about how much they love onions, and Austria will never get the onions. They don't seem to like pork too much, though. Oh, well, it was mentioned 200 times. times. Yeah, never mind. That's still a lot. It's not as much as 1,600 times for butter. 24 hours of air traffic control over Germany. This is sped up to be in just 50 seconds. Now, obviously, the traffic is going to go a lot higher during the daytime. Not as many people are flying at the night. Whoa! There's so much going on above this. For some reason, does this not make people tense? You know, if I was living in Germany, I'd be like, this is a lot of stuff going on in our skies, which shouldn't be surprising. Of course, there's gonna have a lot of flying happening there. It seems like it's only increasing. It's about, okay, now it starts to dip down by like 9 o'clock at night or 20. There's still a lot, but they're leaving these red lines, so it's kind of confusing. And then it's gone. Man, they're really going here. Frankfurt seems to be the big destination. Doesn't Germany have like a completely worthless airport too? Yeah, the Berlin-Brandenburg airport. They spent like $7 billion on that. Maybe that explains why there's not as much traffic going over here as you'd expect. Number of users since these social medias have launched. Unsurprisingly, Facebook is in the lead, but it's also been around for 13 years. Supposedly they have 3 billion active users, active monthly users. This doesn't explain their whole stock situation that's been going on though. You have Twitter, who's almost been around as long as Facebook, and they just suck. This gives me hope in humanity, actually. Didn't realize that Snapchat has more users than Twitter, and that's only been around for 10 years. Instagram's doing pretty good. That's probably why Facebook bought them. And then there's TikTok, who's only been around for 4, but they're already at 1 billion users, and that's only gonna go up. They're probably projected to explode past these two. This is pretty interesting, how West Berlin appeared on an East German map in 1988. They literally just refused it even existed. This was just to avoid the Shadow Realm. That's kind of strange that you just don't even talk about it. I feel like what a lot of people would do is just say that, oh no, we have this territory, just don't try to go here. There's obviously walls. Is that what most people do? Like they just say, yeah, this is us. They just refuse to acknowledge its existence. And big thanks to this month's supporters: LuxembourgLover, Alfonso M6,
AryanAfterHours,
Drew's Argentinian Grandpa,
Barnsky W,
Bring Back Poland Ball,
McBlorf,
istoledrewspetdog,
iLoveMarx,
Majestic Unicorn,
Max Cooper,
RyeThePie,
Why Am I Doing This,
Drew's Arab Sugar Daddy,
Krombopulos
Mimoshiki,
Michael,
Louise,
Canadian
Adam
Union,
Stillerman,
Alex Whitley is Mega Chad,
aPhatNarwhal,
Corey,
Philipp RF,
Robert E,
ortin 5610,
and Sussy Muliati.